Good afternoon. Welcome to the Awesome Panel. And with us we have today Kelsey, Ida,
Woo!
and Sorghum. And is that Alex back there? Yep. So, as we all know, today is February 12th, 2014, and it is February, Black History Month. So I know Kelsey and the rest of the panel has something to say about an important black figure in history.
Yes, we all have people that we want to talk about today, and we chose them based on who we were most inspired by or who we wanted to learn more about. The two people I decided to pick, two athletes, two separate stories, similar goals though. I can truly attest to loving both of these men. The first one I'm going to talk about, Jesse Owens. He was made especially known by his occupation as a track and field athlete, and he met the grueling world on September 12, 1913. He went through his schooling. He was a sickly, frail child, but he worked over his obstacles, and he eventually made it to Berlin, the Olympics in Berlin, during a time when blacks were not so much accepted. And one interesting story I just want to tell about Jesse. Jesse he won a 200-meter race, and right after that, Hitler, as we all know, a terrible, terrible dictator, walked out after he won, after seeing a black man win. And this kind of tells you something, that this dictator realized that any race, it doesn't matter what race you are, holds the capability of overcoming anything and winning. And it does not matter about Aryan supremacy. It doesn't matter about that. It's what you hold in your character within. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next person I have, Jackie Robinson. I call him number 42. He is one of my favorites, I can honestly say. I have idolized him since forever. He started off in pretty much the same way. He had an athletic career in high school, in college, and he moved on to football in Hawaii. But then he moved along to becoming the first major leaguer of African American descent in the Dodgers. And that, to me, like, the first one to shatter the glass, it just stands above the rest. And I honestly, I can't say enough how awesome these two people are. And since we are the awesome panel, I picked two awesome men to talk about. So I know other people have other things to talk about, so I'm just going to
Jackie Robinson was really a great figure. He really broke the color barrier, and he's told stories about him being racially ridiculed by even the other team's coaches. So, well, I do know that Ida definitely has someone for us, too.
From Jessie to Bessie. Good old Bessie Smith. She was an iconic blues classical musician of the 1920s, 30s. Who doesn't love the blues? I mean, there's scattered rhythms of the soul, deep sounds of love, hardship, and strength. And Bessie Smith was the most unconventional, and one article I read called her the most crude and amazing woman of that time. She was born in a fairly poor family, and she and her brother used to sing to earn money for her family. But eventually she would go on to obviously achieve great things, becoming one of the most well-paid performers of that era in the world. That's amazing, black or not. She was an icon, and she sang alongside innovators like Louis Armstrong and other great artists. And I find her very inspirational because just to have such a talent that transcends race, gender, social status, economic status, that's a great gift to have. So I think we can all learn something from her. So, and
That's interesting.
yeah, and from Bessie Smith, a lot of us did an essay on Malcolm X, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Or Malcolm Little. So, does anybody want to help me out with that? 'Cause
Any Malcolm X people?
yeah,
No,
any
I
Malcolm
didn't
X
do
people in
any.
the room?
Well,
No Malcolm
I
X people.
do have a few excerpts. Well,
Mhm.
a few philosophies of two great, much more lesser known people in the civil rights movement. They are Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. Well, they had two quite radical statements towards these times around the late 1800s. Basically, you could say that they feuded. W.E.B. Du Bois mainly had the fight thing that in order for us to earn our rights, we had to fight for them. There was no sitting around, there was no waiting, and no one would come into power unless they really fought and put an effort towards it. But the problem was, well, it wasn't really a problem, but the opposition was what Booker T. Washington believed. He believed that we should calm down, settle, and keep working and keep a stable mentality until maybe one day we'll be given our rights. So, yeah, you could say that W.E.B.'s statement was much more radical, but over time, you could see that his actually came into play.
It
The
makes a lot of
rioting and
sense.
boycotting came. you know? Anyone else did another figure?
Well, I actually did Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King. They were kind of like the biggest figures, so I picked them. They were like the biggest thing because they actually represented like the movement of what had actually made boycott or segregation and racism all disappear. Basically, like Rosa Parks, she was in a bus, and you know everything that happened. She and this happened in December in 1955, where the all altercation where she got arrested because she didn't want to give up the seat. And I would understand her because if I was her, I would have done the same thing for my rights, because no one deserves to be treated less. We're all human beings, you know? And Martha King and Rosa Parks kind of represent the same kind of thing. Like they're really big leaders in the whole civil rights movement. Martin Luther King is more important because he actually
Organized the March on Washington.
yeah,
Well, assisted to organize the March on Washington.
he was kind of like the leader, kind of like
He kind of like prompted for change. He was the person who like drove the whole entire civil rights movement.
yeah.
So both of them together, I mean, really all of these people that we're talking about all together are the reason why we have, you know, earned our equality
Freedom
for all.
today, yeah.
And I think that it's important to realize that a lot of times the fight isn't truly over. You know,
Never is.
there's no law that says a black person or an Asian person or an Indian person can't marry or mingle with other races. There's no outright law, but a lot of times you do still have stereotypes, stigmas, social constructs that kind of prohibit people from either intermarrying or just being friendly towards each other. I mean, and I think that partly why we need to remember Black History Month is to sort of remind ourselves every day that the fight is never over, and that the day that you think that the fight is over, that's when you've lost. But if you just keep pushing for it and you keep active and you actively look around and you actively try to go out of your comfort zone and out of your racial category, then that's like a beautiful thing. And I think that's what all these people have been trying to teach us.
Yeah.
Don't forget that the way our society is developed, it's really classified and divided. People are put into power, and of course, these people that are usually put into power only want certain people in power.
Yeah.
And it's hard, you know?
But we could always, I mean, I see what you were saying with implied social laws that are unwritten. And we see it all the time.
Mhm.
But if we take the time and personally try to integrate some kind of, equality for all in our personal lives, that small difference, makes a difference.
We'll just hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
Well, I know that Alex has something to say right quick.
Yeah, for mine, I picked Maya Angelou, and she was a really influential person. She still is. She was born in 1928 and in St. Louis, Missouri. And when she lived in Stamps for most of her life, and that really kind of instilled in her all the segregation and despair that was going on in the South, and that's what really encouraged her to pursue her career in the arts and literature, and that's why she's such a big influence today. And even when she had to finish school and give birth to her son, she still managed to still pursue her career, and she's been such a big influence. I know she tried to run an organization with Malcolm X, but she really couldn't do it because by the time she wanted to, he was assassinated. And then she went with Martin Luther King, and then he was assassinated. So she kind of kept trying to do all these things, and
that's
in the end, it really just worked out for her really well. Because I think now she's a professor at a university, and
yay, Maya!
Professor. Wait, is she still alive?
Yeah, she's still alive.
A lot of these people that we talk about Black History Month, they're mostly dead. But it's refreshing to see some people who are in the recent times,
Still working at it.
Still working at it, so.
Yay.
Yay!
So I guess that about wraps it up for today. And I hope everyone isn't today Abraham Lincoln's birthday?
Yes.
Don't
His
forget
true
the writer of the
His
Emancipation
Uh-huh.
Proclamation. The very start of it all. So now that's about it. Let's wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in to the awesome panel, and have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a fun snow day.